Welcome everyone to Authentic Expressions. I'm Mige Klim. Today's topic is helping children and teens build self-esteem from inside out. Again, this video is live stream is sponsored by Laurel Ridge, and I'm going to read to you the services offered by Laurel Ridge. So Laurel Ridge is a behavioral health program that offers compassionate care for every stage of life. It provides personalized treatment for all populations. Their interest is to help you into your journey of wellness. There are services for children, adolescents, adults, military dependents, active duty service members, and veterans. They offer inpatient services, outpatient services, substance abuse treatment, residential treatment. Call 210 491 3591 for no cost assessment. Laurel Ridge is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their mission is to save lives, heal families, create hope. Okay, like I said, today's topic is on helping children and teens build self-esteem from inside out. So welcome. I see some familiar names, faces. So welcome, Zach, Cheryl, Victoria, Rachel, Brittany, and Serene. Okay, what questions do you have related to helping children and teens build self-esteem from inside out? So do post your questions. While you're doing that, I'm going to read you a quote or two about parenting. Charles Swindoll says, each day of our lives, we make deposits into the memory banks of our children. So we make deposits into the memory bank of our children. So you have to decide what kind of deposits are you making into their memory bank. All right. Mernalitz, good evening. Welcome. Good to see you all. So let's hear your question. Hi, Carolyn. Good to see you again. Good. So another quote is, to be in your children's memories tomorrow, you have to be in their lives today. So Janet, welcome. Hello. All right. I like all the greetings. Very, very warm-hearted group. So Brittany has a first question. So let's hear Brittany's question. In this day and age of social media, there are many comparisons of how you should look, how you should teach your children value themselves when they're constantly comparing themselves. Yes. It's an immersion in the social media setting. So as parents, you have to think about the amount of time you expose them to social media. Do they get to have free reign or do they have limited time? So as a parent, you get to influence how they're exposed. And then you also want to have conversations with your child about what they see, what they don't see, what are some of the influences. So you have to understand what they are absorbing. Children, teenagers are like sponges. They absorb everything. So to have an influence and not be totally swept into the social media world, it's important to have regular conversations surrounding what they're absorbing. So they get them to tell you what they learn, what are some of the dialogue that's going on, so that you understand their world. And then you get to talk to them about their values, what they believe, and how they are digesting that information. When you have regular conversations, then they get to tell you how they're being influenced, and you get to share your values with them. So it's important as parents that you have a set of values that you want to pass on to your children, just like you want to have healthy lifestyle, healthy eating habits, healthy organization skills. So it's best that you influence them than have somebody else influence them in the direction in which they go. So Rachel asks, what is the best way to help children and teens build self-esteem when they never saw it in their parents? Awesome question. Yes. So what is the best way to help children build self-esteem? So yes, ideally it's best that they see it from their parent. But many times the parents may not have it, the parents may be absent, the parents may be consumed with their substance use, or the parents may be just very disconnected. So, what is the best way to help children and teens? So, if you're talking in terms of a clinician, it is important that you hear them, understand them. So, hear them to understand them, don't hear them to change them. Also, you may want to expose them to readings about helping them build values that is true to them. So, hear what values they're being exposed to, challenge their values, help them carve out values that is important to their development, help them, in this day it's very competitive, it's very much about who can beat the other person. So it's important to help them accept themselves, be compassionate with themselves rather than chase the next big thing or be the next big figure or be like somebody else. The best thing you can help a children or teen is to be themselves, create a version of themselves that they really like, can sit with, can enjoy. So a lot of the self-harming behavior is because teens think that they don't measure up. So they feel like they're constantly functioning as less than, below. So they're constantly struggling to do things to measure up, to get some approval, to get some attention. So help children, teens accept themselves. So challenge their thinking, help them create thoughts, create values about self acceptance, self approval. Okay, Zach asks, what are some tips to help children who have been made fun of in younger years to change their mindset as a teenager? All right, this is a common issue. So teens remember what was said about them in their younger days. If they were called a certain name, if they were viewed as from a certain angle, be it from their friend or a parent or a teacher, it defines them, and then they're locked in and immobilized by that mindset. So, one of the things you want to do is to listen to them, how that mindset has impacted them. So, keep listening to their stories and then help them understand that their mindset is based on one person's perspective. So, it's important to understand the feelings that got them immobilized so that they can talk about those feelings and then grieve some of the damage that has been done to themselves and how they see themselves. So in this situation, if a person wants to move forward, don't just spin them forward. It's important to help them grieve and look at how it has impacted them, how it has defeated them, how they have felt discouraged. So look at the emotions and some of the things that they have done to stay stuck in that mindset. It's important to talk about different mindsets, how they want to see themselves, how they choose to see themselves, rather than see themselves based on the definition of some historical person in their lives. So introduce them to different or alternative views of themselves and help them identify views that are healthy, constructive for them to embrace. Okay, Santos, welcome. How can you instill and build a child's self esteem when both parents are physically, emotionally, and verbally abusive to their children? Wow, that's a great question. Common question, great question. Yes, many children suffer from comparisons. Comparison is also very abusive in that the child is not accepted, but they are seen less than. They define themselves as not measuring up. So when the child is exposed to these kind of abuses, how do you instill and build self-esteem? As an adult to a teenager or a child, it's important to think about how you want to accept and embrace the child. So you can serve as a mentor, you can serve as a friend, you can serve as a listening ear. So children thrive when they're heard, when they're understood, when they're accepted. So it may be important for you to create an environment where they can unravel in front of you and then you are still able to accept them. So many times, children, if you do it well, children are very easy to work with. They want acceptance, they crave attention. So if you steer them in the direction when you understand them, give them positive intention, reinforce some of their strengths and some of the things that they have done well, and then steer them in the direction of growth. So provide them opportunities where they can talk, they can decompress, where they can be amongst other teens, amongst other children their age, so that they will be influenced by different people, not just the people that are unhealthy and people that are toxic or abusive. All right. Hi, Samantha, Janet. Good to see you all. So, Janet asks, is shyness a part of low self esteem in a teen? How can I help my kids become more confident in what they do? And shyness is part and parcel of the fear of being judged, the fear of being criticized, the fear of being the flaws being highlighted. So people tend to hide and do not want to be seen because in the past, flaws may have been highlighted and they have been made fun of. So it's easier to be behind the scenes, be behind the curtain. So, how do I help kids become more confident in what they do? And in order to help children be confident, be comfortable in their own skin, it's important to accept them and help them be comfortable in their own skin. Many times, they are so exposed to social media and all the glossy pictures out there, and then they start to see themselves differently. They don't look like somebody else. They don't behave like somebody else. They don't have the energy, the the um, the acceptance, the following like somebody else. So all these comparisons that's already in their script can be very damaging. So it's important to question their belief system as to, they see all this. How much of that is true? Many teens just look at one spectrum of things, one angle of things, and then that becomes their truth. So it's important for you to ask them about what part of social media is true. So you want to build self-esteem and confidence by helping them look at themselves, helping them look at the faults they find in themselves. Many times we think, okay, we don't want to focus on their faults, we want to build on their strengths. So in order to build on strengths, you have to help them grieve about how they see themselves, how they devalue themselves, how they downplay their strengths. So it's important to hear their script, to understand their script. When you understand them, it allows them to then hear what they are saying and how they have seen themselves, the light in which they see themselves. Because when you allow them room to talk, things unravel and then they can sort things out better when you get to hear them without changing them. So there's power in helping children talk through things, because in their talking through with you as a parent, they sort things out in their head. So the gift you can give to a child is listening to them, because the more you listen to them, then they are able to unravel and sort things out. And then another gift you can give to your children is to spend at least 15, 20 minutes a day with each child. A day with each child, just to listen to them and to help them decompress, not to spend 15, 20 minutes correcting them, complaining about them. So it's important to be available to hear them out. All right, Carolyn has some a question or insight. So Carolyn says, they are all little sponges. Yes, what is a good way to help them understand disagreements? That disagreements are okay, so they are not afraid to disagree, but talk things out with you. Yes, when you accept, when they accept the fact that you can hear them without complaining, changing their minds, or you don't overpower them with words or overpower them with emotions, children will be able to share their thoughts. And whenever they share their thoughts, always reinforce it and say, I really appreciate it when you were honest with me. I like that you disagree with me, but I also like that you stated your point. So reinforce the behaviors you want to see repeated. So thank them. Thank them. Again, you can text them and say, I really appreciate it when you did this, when you shared your thoughts, when you were open, when you were able to tell me your points, even though it was challenging for you. So look for opportunities to pat them on the back, look for opportunities to be grateful for the little things they do. It does not have to be big things, it's the little things that make a difference. All right, Lindsay, welcome. So Lindsay says, often teens shut down and don't want to open up. That's very true. What ways can one help them open up? Be willing to share, know they are in a safe environment, and be less resistant. Yes. So, yes, teens, when they go into that teen phase, they shut down, they hide in their room, and then they close the curtains as though they're in this cubicle. So, in order to draw them out, you have to pave the path. In order for them to be open to with you in their teen years, it is a kind of like a grooming process. In their childhood, in their middle years, in their preteen years, make it a habit to spend time with them. Make it a habit, like I said earlier, to spend 15 minutes or 20 minutes with them each day. So then you get into the habit of talking, you get into the habit of conversing, you get in the habit of listening. And so these early habits help them connect with you, even though they are, tempted to shut down. So teens, all children crave attention, and they crave it most from the adults in their life, the adults that care for them. When they don't have it, then it's when they seek out other people, and other people may not have their best interest at heart. So it's important for you, the parent, the adult, the mentor, the teacher, to lay the foundation, to carve out time to listen to them, to carve out time to connect with them. So don't think about changing them, but build time to connect, to accept. These are words that are not very taught in parenting. Many times we think about discipline, we think about correcting them. But it's important to help children find their path. And you can help them find their path in hearing them out, in checking out their interests, in helping them sort out their feelings, sort out their thoughts. Be slow to correct, but be quick to connect. All right, Samantha asks, what can I start to implement so that my son develops a positive self-esteem? Yes, when children are young, it's important to hear them. It's important to give them tasks that they can do at age appropriate, that are age appropriate tasks. When they complete a task, thank them and then have them repeat it regularly. To build self esteem, you want children to have habits that are consistent, not habits that show up every month, every 6 months. So you want to help them build consistent habits. You want to help them complete tasks that are age appropriate. It could be tasks that's related to school, tasks that's related to home, tasks that's related to social connections, tasks that's related to you and your child. So the little things that you do every day sets the stage for healthy habits. So if you want a child to have healthy habits, healthy self-esteem, the best gift you can give to your child is to have the positive self-esteem yourself. Because when they see you speak up for yourself, when they see you assert your point, when they see you solve a problem, when they see you complete tasks from beginning to end, then likewise, they will do the same thing. But if they see you halfway complete tasks, if they see you berate yourself, talk down to yourself, demean yourself, belittle yourself, they too will do that same thing. Because children absorb our actions, not our words. Because they are more likely to do what we do than what we tell them to do. All right, Shashay, welcome. I remember you telling us that during class years ago that you still use this. Yes, 20 minutes per child is 20 minutes less on social media. Awesome. Yes, yes. So, we many parents have children, but they farm it out raising of their children to social media. So they want to put an iPad, put a digital device in front of the child and use that as a babysitting device. Remember, when you cherish, nurture your child, that is when they too see your interest and they will do likewise. So Zach asks, how can we help build self-respect when comparison to others makes them spiral? Yes, yes, yes. So again, whatever you want your children, your teens to exhibit, it takes years of work, years of repetitive, consistent work for them to change their behavior. So don't expect change to happen overnight. But if you want to build self respect, you want them to have self respect, self honoring, self fulfillment, self nurturing. These are the habits that you need to do, show and exhibit yourself, because they are very likely going to do the same thing you do. Whatever habits you have, when you complete things, you start things, you start things and you have a strong ending, they too will do likewise. Many people have good starts, strong starts, but very weak endings. And the endings fizzle out, the endings go to pots, so to speak. Then children will do the same thing. So it's important for children to see you solve problems. It's important for children to see you sort out problems. And then when you have challenges, it's important to talk to them, not in great detail, but about what you're struggling with and ask for their input, because that helps them feel respected. That helps them feel valued. So how you deliver and how you interact with them is critical to helping them sort things out. So it's important for parents, for adults, to show children that they too struggle with issues, they too struggle with problems, and and help and get them to see how you navigate through these challenging times, because they too will be able to emulate your behavior when they experience sticky situations. Okay, Carolyn asks, what can a child or an early teen do with bullies that challenge them so that they don't shut down? Okay, excellent point. Again, I hold parents responsible in how children behave. So, how you conduct yourself, how you show up for yourself, will also means that the children will show up in the same way. But if you are a person who commonly back down, who commonly cave in, who commonly throw in the towel when you face challenging situations, children will do the same thing. But when you show up, when you assert your point, when you express your point, and when you say, hey, the point I wanted to make here is this, and when you drive in your point, you get people to hear you, then children will do the same thing when they're in situations when they get pushback. So learn to use words like, my point is, it's very important that you hear me. So what I'm trying to say here is this. And then have the person go, what did you hear me say? So have them repeat it. So when you do that to your children, they too will be able to assert themselves. So it's important for you to build phrases that will help you get your point across. So when people don't hear you, it's important to say, at this point, I'm trying to make this point. The point I want to make is this. So get people to hear you. When the train is running too fast, learn to slow it down. Get people to hear you, get people to understand your point. When they see you do this, they too will be able to use those tools and build it in situations when they are being bullied. Julia, welcome. How does this work with children of divorce to minimize the damage? Okay. Yes. Even in divorce situations, how parents speak to each other is very important. So many parents, sometimes they speak through the children to the other parent. So if that's the habit, it's important to break that habit. It's important to think about how you respect yourself, how you respect the divorcing parent, so that it does not translate into them too talking down to their parent, the divorced parent. Because how you talk to the other parent will one day reflect on how they will talk to you. So if you want your children to talk to you in respectful ways, you too have to demonstrate the respect to them. Because if you do a lot of yelling, screaming, complaining about them, when they become of age and when they're able to yell back, they will do the same thing. And many times they don't have to become of age. Even children know how to yell back because they see you do that. So you, the parent, need to model behaviors that are constructive, that are healthy. Because whatever you exhibit is what will be dished out to you at a later point. So, all right, Serene goes, when we have two littles, how do we respond when they have hurtful words that impact the other's self-esteem? Okay, 8-year-olds. And whenever you encounter situations that are sticky or challenging, it's important to talk about it when things are calm. When the water's calm, talk about it. So the words that were said help me understand what were you trying to drive across? What was your point? While you said sharp words, what point did you want your sister, your brother to understand? So have conversations after the fact, but when things are calm. So walk through with them. How do you want your sister or brother to understand you next time when the same thing occur? What words do you want to say? How do you want to handle it? So have them walk through it with you, talk about it, and then practice it so that when the next challenge rolls around, they know how to address it. So when you do things repeatedly and walk through it with them, then they will be able to implement the behavior. So it's very important that you walk through it when things are calm. Don't just think, okay, I had a talk with them and that should be sufficient. But think, There should be multiple talks, multiple conversations to help them sort out what they want to say. Because in their young minds, it takes repeated learnings. All right, I love the questions asked. So thank you again for showing up. Next week, our topic is mistakes are okay. Tap into courage to face fears and failure. So tap into courage to face fears and failure. So again, we are grateful for Laurel Ridge for sponsoring this program. So Laurel Ridge provides treatment for all populations. They have services for children, teens, adolescents, military dependents, and active duty service members. Be sure to call 210 491 3591 for no cost assessment. So thank you for showing up. I'm going to close with one quote. To be in your children's memories tomorrow, you have to be in their lives today. I hope you continue to think about that. Awesome questions. See you next week and bring a friend and a question.